Sushi Staples, the woman accused of concealing the death of her child.
That started with an anonymous tip claiming Staples' son died back in 2021 and his body was in the basement. Staples denied ever having a son named ZS.
Police say a 10-year-old boy found dead in a trash can shot himself accidentally, charging connection with covering up her son's death.
Sushi Staples and the accidental shooting death of her son Zion is so incredibly sad.
Kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves?
Absolutely not.
No, it sounds crazy to me too. That's what.
Man, this is crazy. I don't know. I think I'm being framed.
Do you have a son named Zion?
No, I don't.
You've never had a son named Zion.
Hi guys, welcome back to KW Lawholic. It's Kayla, and today we have another case, and this one will be a hard one to hear. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you're not, thank you for always returning, and let's just jump right into the case. Today's case is about 10-year-old Zion Staples. Now, we don't have a lot of background information, really any at all, on him, and there haven't been any photos of him released to the public. We aren't sure exactly what Zion looks like. While we don't know how he looks, that means we also don't know any of his personality traits or hobbies or any of his characteristics. But I would just assume that he's 10 years old. He's like any other fun, loving, and playful child. I was able to figure out, though, that he was born to his mother, Sushi Staples, who's 37 years old, and that he has 7 siblings. They lived in Rock Island County, Illinois. Zion did not attend school. He was not enrolled in any school, and neither were his siblings that also lived in the house with them. So they didn't go to school. On July 25th, 2023, the Rock Island County police officers arrived at Mrs. Sushi Staples' residence on the 1700 block, 20 and a half Avenue. This encounter with the police and authorities was because of a tip that came in from an anonymous or unidentified woman who was speaking with the Department of Children and Family Services. The police stated that the woman said that Miss Staples, Zion's mother, had a child there that had accidentally shot themselves. The officer had stated to Miss Staples that the lady said, "You have a son, he accidentally shot himself, and that he's in your basement."
Hi.
Are you Miss Staples?
Yes, how can I help you?
So we got kind of a weird phone call. Do you know Latricia?
No.
No.
I don't know anybody out here.
Some lady called DCFS. And,
What?
And kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves.
Absolutely not.
No, it sounds crazy to me too. That's what.
Miss Staples had then stated that that was a complete lie and it wasn't true. She blamed it on her ex-husband's girlfriend as the one who was calling in making all of these false claims. So then the officer asked her if she wouldn't mind if he just took a quick look, and she shut that down immediately. She stated to him, and I quote, "No, you need a search warrant to do that. I'm sorry, but I'm not about to have my rights violated because someone makes erroneous allegations like this." So after that, the police weren't there for no more than 5 minutes, and they left because she wasn't going to allow a search of her home.
Just so I can check the box off, can I look in your basement real quick and I'll get out
No,
of here?
you need a search warrant to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not about to have my rights violated because someone makes Uranus allegations like this.
I know. Like I said, it sounded crazy to me too. I'm just up here.
If you want to do that, I would suggest you go through the proper protocols. I'm not about to let some crazy woman who now has my husband make Uranus accusations like this and have my rights violated.
And while the police were leaving her property, she said, "I'm here, I have nothing to hide." So she's seeming pretty confident that this person is just playing on her phone and trying to get her in trouble with the government. Now, because this is a situation that does involve a minor, the police end up getting a search warrant overnight and returned to her home on July 26th. Around 6 p.m. in the afternoon. When they arrived, they explained to her and told her how these allegations are very serious and they need to know that her son is located, because if he's been hurt and no action was taken to say that he was shot or that he is dead or just saying where he could be, she can be in some serious trouble.
Sushi, can you come out? Well, just step on out. I'll explain everything.
Wait a minute, my kid's in here.
Okay, I understand that, but we have a search warrant for the house.
We're asking you for your cooperation to be up front with us.
Hold on.
So step on out.
No, step
What
out.
part of the house do you all have a search warrant for?
The whole house.
The whole house.
So you need to step out.
While the officers were in the home, it was multiple. One of the officers took her 4 daughters, her other children, upstairs and watched them, while the other officers did a quick sweep of the house and they started in the basement.
Calm down, my kids are in here.
Okay.
Please.
How many?
They're upstairs. I just made them go upstairs. I don't want to scare my kids. Can we just calm
These
down?
officers are gonna walk in there with you, and I got a copy of the warrant out here for you, hon.
Can I see the warrant, please?
Do you know why we're here?
No, I don't. I don't know why you're here.
Okay.
I'm really scared because my kids are upstairs and I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
From that initial sweep directly to the basement, it didn't reveal anything to the officers, so they continued to question her in the kitchen. While they were starting their questioning in the kitchen with Miss Sushi Staples, you could see that she did appear to be scared and nervous, and she even stated something on the lines of that. I don't know what's going on. I'm super scared right now. Can I please call someone to come get my children? Now, at the start of that conversation, the officer and detective, they tried to make her feel comfortable. They said she wasn't in trouble. They just needed to ask her some questions so they could figure out what this whole Zion Staples case was.
The reason we're here, okay, is because we're investigating a call that we had, okay? The officers came out and talked to you last night, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We have to handle that real seriously, okay? Because the allegations are that you have a son and that he's deceased and he's here in this house.
And the officer started by asking her, do you have a son named Zion? And her reply was, no, I don't. So the detective again asked her, you've never had a son named Zion? And she said no. And from that, the detective was like, okay, we have to switch up our tactics, our questions, or something. Then they asked her, was she claiming benefits for a child with the name Zion Staples?
Do you have a son named Zion?
No, I don't.
You've never had a son named Zion.
No.
Are you claiming benefits for a kid named Zion?
No. I haven't gotten any benefits for anyone.
And her answer to that, which is no surprise, was that no, she's not receiving benefits for anyone. She added that she's been going through a situation recently where a young woman had stole her identity. And because of that, the young woman who stole her identity falsified and filed her taxes, and that she's currently working with the FBI and the IRS to fix the whole situation. The officer then asked her, does she have any contact or any calls with the DCFS, which is again the Department of Children and Family Services. Ms. Staples replied to the officer that yes, she has, but it was false calls. It was still because someone was playing and putting these crazy allegations out there to the Children's Services Department. The officer told her that according to their records, one of the calls made from DCFS in 2021 resulted in them coming to her actual residence to conduct business. And when the child services were present, they also said in their records that Zion Staples was present with the rest of her children.
One of the calls from 2021, DCFS came out to your residence in Chicago and there was a Zion Staples there, along with your 4 daughters.
We had kids in the neighborhood come over.
So,
some of those kids that were implicated were not, in fact, our children. They were there.
So you're saying there was a kid in your apartment that was not your kid, Zion?
I didn't say his name was Zion. No.
While the detectives were telling her that, she was already beginning to shake her head no and explained that those were just neighborhood kids who were at her house because there was a party going on. And when the child services came, they kind of just grouped all the children there and said that they were her kids. In the footage, you can see that she's becoming more and more defensive and agitated, and that's also making the authorities and the police officers kind of become agitated too, because they just want to locate Zion to make sure that he is safe.
So somewhere here we need to get to the bottom of this Zion thing.
I can't
And
help
this
it
is
when
coming
people
from
call.
other. This is coming from other people. This is
I
getting
can't help it
mentioned.
when people call and make allegations against me. People do this
Okay.
every day out of spite. And I possibly had some visitors. It was probably the summertime.
So where would they get the name Zion
Where would they come up with
Staples?
Zion Staples?
I don't
and
know.
It be your
People
son.
make it up all the time. People make it up all the time.
But see, DCFS does not come into your home and say, okay, have the neighbors over and let's do all this personal stuff that affects you and your family in front of all these other people.
They did.
They do it with you.
They did.
And they do it with your family.
After that, the detective had asked Miss Staples if they did a search of the house, because they were going to, would they find anything in the home with Zion's name on it, such as a social security card, a birth certificate, anything of that nature. And she said nope. Within 16 minutes of asking that question, the detectives returned back in the kitchen with the other officers with a birth certificate in hand. And you would have thought that before this, that was her time to come clean and be honest and finally tell the truth. When they showed her the birth certificate, She acted completely lost, total confusion, saying, "What is that?" And they're like, "It's a birth certificate for Zion." And she's like, "That's not mine." And they said, "Really? It says Zion Staples, child of Sushi Staples." They told her they had found it in her room along with a social security card for Zion as well. And even with their names clear as day on it, she still is denying it, saying it doesn't belong to her. After that, they were pretty much done with the antics. They were now demanding she told them where Zion was.
I can't call a lawyer and let them know you are here. I can't call a lawyer to come here to my house while I'm being questioned by you.
If you want an attorney right now, we'll just be done.
We'll be done, but the investigation continues.
Okay.
She said on the footage, "Oh, I have neighbors. I don't want them to be in my business. And look, can I just walk out regular to the car?" And they're like, "No, we're putting you in cuffs." And now after she admitted to fraud and they have her in the police car, they then go and do a deep search of the house because one, they didn't believe her. The evidence stacked up against her said that Zion is real. And also with the officer that was upstairs with her 4 children, 2 of the children admitted to the cops saying that Zion was playing with a handgun and accidentally shot himself. So with that information, the cops have a pretty good guess of what is happening. So let's do a little recap. There's a child that the Department of Children and Family Services is trying to locate. They go to the house, they speak with the mother, and she's denying all existence. She doesn't have a son. She never has. She doesn't know who's doing this. It's her ex-husband's girlfriend that's trying to do all these things to her. Then they get proof. Proof starts piling up. Police know what they need to do next. It takes nearly 4 hours of searching and we get to the body cam footage that was released to the public. In the body cam footage, we see that there are 2 officers, one a detective and the other is a crime scene technician. They go to the garage around 9:30 p.m. The officer and the technician are seen on the footage removing, as it seems to be, black covers from a corner in the garage. After they take off the black covers, they drag out a circular metal trash can. On the footage, you can even see that the crime tech's face shows that this is not a good scene. He even looks scared in the way to what he might open. As they were dragging the trash can out, the crime scene technician was taking photos of what was before them and in front of them. He continued to take photos as they opened up the lid of the trash can slightly, closed it back, and then opened it up fully again. And while we can't see the body because that is heartbreaking to have public, that was where Zion's body was recovered. He was in the trash can wearing nothing but his Spider-Man pajama pants. Now, if we move till after the crime, Sushi Staples did remain in custody of the Rock Island County Police Department until further notice. According to court documents, she was charged with the following charges. The first one was obstruction of justice, concealment of a death, failure to report the death of a child, and her bail was set at $500,000. $5,000 for hiding your child's body in a trash can. I personally feel like she shouldn't have gotten any bail. The Rock Island County coroner, Brian Gustafson, reported through his autopsy he died from a gunshot wound to the head, likely in December of 2022. His body had showed about 7 to 8 months of decomposition. And on August 31st, 2023, Sushi Staples had her preliminary hearing. And at the hearing, the detective did testify. He testified that Zion died around December 21st, 2022 from a gunshot that was accidental. And that his mother, Sushi Staples, hid his body in order to keep collecting the boy's benefits.
Sushi Staples, who will turn 38 next week, sat in court quietly as a Rock Island police detective described how they were led to find her dead son's body.
It would be AS and SS gave the story that ZS was playing with a handgun and accidentally shot herself.
During that hearing, it was also revealed that the Department of Children and Family Services has had multiple encounters with Ms. Staples' family over the past 10 years. And the reason being for various claims of child abuse. Ms. Staples had already had 3 of her children removed from her. So the question can kind of be, why was she allowed to have these other 5 children? None of them were in school. It's just crazy to think about. To continue, the detective also testified that after Sushi was inside of the police car and they had Miss Staples, she did admit that she hid his body in the basement, but that she ended up moving it to the garage because she didn't want her other 4 children to find him. Also admitted to trying to conceal the odor of Zion's decomposing body by putting dryer sheets in every vent of the house and the garage. So she knew what she was doing. She put dryer sheets to try to make the environment smell better right in the vents. That means if the air hits it, it's gonna spread in the whole house. She was truly concealing her child's death. And those same dryer sheets she admitted to putting everywhere, the police recovered them through their investigation and their search. She did end up waiving her arraignment hearing. That's just her initial first charges to, say what it is, guilty, not guilty. And she requested a jury trial, which she did receive. As her trial continued, on January 4th, 2024, Staples did plead guilty to child endangerment. In exchange for her guilty plea, the prosecutors agreed to drop the other 3 and initial charges that she had. And on February 16th, 2024, she was sentenced to 2 years in prison, but she did receive credit for time served since she had been in jail during that time. Ms. Staples was released from the Logan Correctional Center on July 25th, 2024, and she is currently on parole that is supposed to last all the way up until January 2025. So we've heard this outrageous case, and there's only a few questions that come to mind. I cannot fathom or imagine, straight out believe how long it took for Zion to be found. I don't understand how this young boy didn't have any help and how no one was able to get this situation brought to light quicker than that. And I also don't understand how a mother could do this to her own child. During her trial, she tried to throw in that she was just holding on to his body until she could afford a funeral. And I understand that, a death of a family member can be expensive, but there's a lot of things out there that will help you. You can set up a GoFundMe. Even just people hearing about such a tragic story of a child shooting themselves will donate, will help. There are things you can do instead of just hiding your child's body, acting like he never existed. She lied and said that her baby that she carried in birth didn't exist. That is outrageous to me, and I feel like all of her children need to be removed from her immediately. It's hard to even give my condolences to the family because she is the family. I just want to give them to Zion and his siblings, his younger siblings, family members that know the situation but weren't able to help. It's just that we really need to protect our young children. They are our future. And to hear this case is truly heartbreaking. I couldn't imagine something like that happening. Now, I don't know if she did it out of fear that, a minor and a child had access to a weapon and did get hurt, and maybe she was afraid that she would go to jail for it, but you still end up going to jail for it and just made the situation a whole lot worse. I don't understand how she only received 2 years. I feel like she needed some years in prison because this is an egregious and terrible, heinous crime to do to your own flesh and blood that you're supposed to love and cherish. But thank you guys for listening to this story of Zion Staples. Please leave your comments down below in the comment section. Feel free to share your opinions and your ideas of how this case made you feel and what you think about it. If you have any you would like to hear and want me to cover, please drop them down below as well. Thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. See you next time on KW Lawholic.